The following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers. This is the TF Angie coming to you with what will hopefully be a quick and successful review. And tonight we're going to be taking a look at, for what has been, for Transformers animated fans, one of the more anticipated figures of the Transformers Age of the Primes line last year in 2025, and it is the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Fugitive Wasp, or as he's now named on the box, Fugitive Waspinator. So, when the time came to introduce characters from Transformers Beast Wars in Transformers Animated, well, as far as I can remember, we only got 3 of them, really. We got Black Arachnia, who was originally the Autobot character of Alita 1, but she accidentally got left behind on a planet full of giant spiders, and she became Black Arachnia. And one thing to note in the Transformers Animated is that the only factions of Transformers that existed were the Autobots and the Decepticons. There were no Maximals or Predacons. So yeah, we got Black Arachnia, who used to be Alita 1. Then we got Rat Trap, who at the time Hasbro didn't have a registered trademark on Rat Trap's original Beast Wars name, so he appeared in the series under the name of Rattle Trap. He appeared as a background character whose biggest screen time appearance was an episode where Ratchet and the Transformers Animated, a human character of Captain Fanzone, who was the chief of the Detroit City Police Department. They were on Cybertron and they interrogated Rat Trap for information. And then the third Beast Wars character was Waspinator, who actually started off as an Autobot known only as Wasp. His name originally was Autobot Wasp. So the story behind Wasp, I'm getting ahead of myself from excitement. So the story behind Wasp is that in a flashback episode showing how the Transformers animated version of Bumblebee met Bulkhead and started off as an Autobot recruit, Wasp kind of insulted Bumblebee, saying that he probably wasn't going to be that great of an Autobot, and Bumblebee pointed out that he and Wasp looked like they shared the same protoform mold, and they were Bumblebee, Wasp, and Bulkhead. They were 3 out of 5 Autobots who were in training together. The other 2 Autobots were Ironhide and Longarm, and it was believed that there was a Decepticon spy amongst the 5 Autobot recruits, which it was later revealed that there really was a spy in the group. Bumblebee and Bulkhead thought that the spy was Wasp, and so Sentinel Prime, being the jackass that he was in Transformers Animated, ordered Wasp to be arrested, and Wasp was sent into the stockade. But it was ultimately revealed that the traitor that the spy and infiltrator among the ranks was actually Autobot Longarm, because he was actually Shockwave, who was in disguise, trying to infiltrate the Autobots' ranks. And so Bumblebee and Bulkhead, Wasp accidentally was sent to Cybertron prison, is in for a crime that Shockwave actually committed, and he was framed by Shockwave. But the time he spent in prison, Wasp lost his mind, and he started off talking normally in the flashbacks when he first met Bumblebee and Bulkhead, but due to the time he spent locked up in Cybertron's prisons, he went slightly mad, and he developed the vocal pattern that his Transformers Beast Wars counterpart had. And then when Wasp escaped from Cybertron prison, he found a space bridge and went to Earth to exact revenge on Bumblebee. And I'm spoiling everything for nobody who's ever watched Transformers Animated, but long story short, the idea is that just like other the idea behind Transformers Animated is that the origins of certain Transformers characters were reimaginings of the origins that the exact same Transformers characters had in past Transformers TV series and series, cartoons, and even the comic books. And so the character of Waspinator from Beast Wars, he was one of those characters who had a reimagined origin when he was introduced in Transformers Animated. He started off as an Autobot named Wasp, and when he was framed for a crime committed by Shockwave, he was sent to prison, and he lost his mind. And the point I was about to get to, though I didn't want to try and spoil any things, but for those who haven't watched Transformers Animated by now, go ahead and watch it, and I apologize if I spoiled it for you. But when Wasp escaped prison, he went through a space bridge, arrived on Earth to find Bumblebee and exact revenge on him being sent to prison. And And even though Bumblebee and Bulkhead explained to Wasp that he had actually accidentally been framed by, well, not accidentally, but that he had been framed by Shockwave, and that him being locked up was a mistake on Bumblebee and Bulkhead's part, Wasp just decided that he definitely needed to punish Bumblebee and Bulkhead for ruining his life. Bulkhead pointed out that Wasp was never a friendly bot. He was always a bit of a jerk, thinking that he was better than everyone and pointing out everyone's flaws and not really wanting to be a teammate, and instead just being a critic who criticized his fellow Autobots. And so that was kind of a way of showing that, yeah, Wasp, even if he was framed for Shockwave's crimes, he never really was much of a good bot with a pure heart to begin with. And so in the Transformers animated cartoon, after he attempted to frame Bumblebee for a crime he committed, what Wasp did is that he stole Bumblebee's helmet, and he basically made it look like they did a body swap. It was actually just a decoy helmet that allowed Wasp and Bumblebee to switch paint jobs. By the end of the episode, Wasp was exposed, and he ended up going into hiding and acknowledging the fact that he and Bumblebee were, by all accounts, sharing the same body design. In the Transformers animated cartoon, Wasp took on the exact same type of sports car for an alt mode that Bumblebee had, and he ended up running into Black Arachnia, who had tricked the Dinobots into bringing technology for her. And this was one of the more memorable episodes of Transformers Animated. Black Arachnia convinced Wasp to be her guinea pig because she wanted to turn him into a techno-organic bot just like her, and she ended up transforming him into a half-robotic, half-organic Transformer just like her, and Wasp ended up transforming into Waspinator, having the iconic mechanical Wasp alt mode that he had in Transformers Beast Wars. And with that, his transformation from Wasp into Waspinator was completed. He even denounced the Autobots even before he was transformed into Waspinator by Black Arachnia. Wasp, when he escaped prison, he attached a Decepticon faction symbol to him. And yeah, he was by all accounts a slime ball in Transformers Animated. As far as his fate after he was transformed into Waspinator, the reason why Black Arachnia convinced Wasp to become Waspinator was because she wanted to see if after transforming him into Waspinator, she could then undo the transformation and turn him back into Wasp. And if she could, then she could transform Black from, well, not necessarily transform from Black Arachnia back into being Alita 1, but she would no longer have her organic half, and she would be a full Cybertronian like she was before she got mutated into her current form. Unfortunately, Waspinator's body proved to be unstable, and in a shout-out to the fact that Waspinator was always exploding and having his body blown to bits in Transformers Beast Wars, Waspinator's body exploded, and the machine that Black Arachnia had rigged to transform Wasp into Waspinator, it ended up, it was rigged to a tiny space bridge, and it blasted both her and Waspinator to an unknown place. It was never established if it was supposed to be planet Earth or if it was another planet entirely, but Waspinator picked up his disembodied head and crawled away, trying to gather up his body parts, mumbling that he would somehow, someway find a way to finally get his revenge on Bumblebee. And as for Black Arachnia, when she finally woke up, she was still in one piece, and when she stared up, there were creatures staring at her, which were the Earth animals of a cheetah, a gorilla, a rat, and a rhino, in a reference to the 4 original Maximals from Transformers Beast Wars. And it's been widely speculated by Transformers fans and collectors that Black Arachnia could have somehow transformed those animals into Optimus Primo, Cheetor, Rat Trap, even though he already appeared in the Transformers animated cartoon under the copyrighted name of Rattletrap, and also Rhinox. But the 4th season of Transformers Animated, which would have shown Black Arachnia try and build a new space bridge, which would have malfunctioned and taken her and a handful of other characters from Transformers Animated to the Shattered Glass universe, which would have marked the first on-screen time that the Shattered Glass universe appeared in official media released by Hasbro. But Transformers Animated, the 4th season was cancelled. It never came to light because at the time in 2009, Hasbro wanted to go full force and focus on Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and so Transformers Animated came to an abrupt end in order to make room for Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and that's pretty much all the background story on Wasp. Now, because he shares the same body design with the Transformers Animated version of Bumblebee, some third-party companies, after designing action figures based off of Generation 1 Bumblebee, have also repainted and retooled the figure into Fugitive Wasp, which is what he was going to be known as in Transformers Animated, and so Wasp is now one of the Transformers Animated version of Wasp is now one of the Transformers characters who shares the same body design as Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, Hubcap, Bumper, Glyph, Tap Out, and I forgot about Goldbug, and I forgot what other characters, Bugbite, and I think that's all of them. There could be more, I could be incorrect, but yeah, Waspinator's now joined the list of characters who share the same body design as Bumblebee and Cliffjumper. And one thing to note about is this is the reason why at the start of the review I said that Wasp was one of the more anticipated action figures of the Age of the Primes line last year in 2025 for Transformers Animated fans. And the reason why is because, just like the 4th season of the Transformers Animated cartoon show, the final wave of Transformers Animated action figures, which would have included a deluxe class action figure of Fugitive Wasp that would have been a repaint with a new head sculpt of the Transformers Animated deluxe class version of Bumblebee, Fugitive Wasp, his action figure was cancelled and it never got released. There's photos of it on the internet because it was advertised on the wave of Transformers Animated action figures that eventually were released exclusively at Toys R Us stores the following year in 2010, which consisted of Cybertron Mode, Ratchet, RC, Ironhide, and Rodimus Minor. But Fugitive Wasp was one of the action figures that stayed cancelled and never got past the design phase. There was a deluxe class action figure of Waspinator, which was released in 2008. And so when Fugitive Wasp appeared in the series, Beast Wars fans were excited about when he would eventually become Waspinator, or if he was a separate character. And so, we got a figure of Waspinator who transformed into his iconic Wasp alt mode, but his original form of being a mostly green body design mate with animated Bumblebee. We never got an action figure of that back in 2009 because it was cancelled, and so from 2009 to 2025 it took 16 years for Transformers Animated fans to finally have an action figure of Fugitive Wasp from Transformers Animated, and so here he finally is. He is a repaint and a retool of the Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Animated Bumblebee. And with the price increase of Transformers Age of the Primes action figures, some Transformers fans and collectors are kind of happy that Wasp was released last year in 2025 before the most recent price increase, because Animated Bumblebee, he is now, I believe, holds the title of being the all-time smallest deluxe class Transformers action figure that's ever been released. I can't think off the top of my head if there are any other deluxe class action figures, including other versions of Bumblebee, that are as small as this guy is. I believe Animated Legacy Bumblebee, I think he stands only 3.5 inches tall, maybe 4 inches at most. The average size for deluxe class Transformers is about 4.5 to 5 inches, and so yeah, he's a whole head shorter than all the other deluxe figures that have been released in both the Legacy and Age of the Primes lines so far. So yeah, Bumblebee and Wasp are as small as deluxe class Transformers action figures have ever been made. So focusing here on Wasp, there he is inside the box. Love the head sculpt. That's the only part of him that is new and retooled from Bumblebee, which is accurate to his appearance in the Transformers Animated cartoon. You got some nice artwork there of him with his head on top. You got his alt mode of a green sports car, which is just like Bumblebee. And one thing I love that they did is that they didn't retool the roof, so he has the same police siren on the roof in his alt mode. You got a close-up there of his face and the Decepticon logo on his chest, my camera is just barely picking it up right there. If I don't shine, if I don't get a glow from my ceiling light reflecting off of it. I don't know if he actually has the Decepticon symbol on the chest in his action figure. I believe he doesn't. I'll have to look and see if he does even have one. The product photo on his packaging shows that he's supposed to have the Decepticon logo on his chest, but I don't think he actually has it on here. Oh yeah, there it is. It is just barely visible inside the box. It's almost the same shade as the shade of green paint, that green plastic that he's made of, even though it's supposed to be purple. Come on in here to the back of the box. You got some product photos of Wasp in his robot mode and his alt mode. And he's basically a green version of Transformers animated Bumblebee, which is accurate to his appearance in the Transformers animated cartoon. I kind of wish they would have, Hasbro would have somehow kept a trademark on the Fugitive Wasp, and left off the other letters in his name, and just called him a Fugitive Wasp like they were going to do on his original canceled animated action figure back in 2009. But I guess I can kind of see why they used the word Waspinator as a way of holding on to the trademark of that name, because as far as I'm aware, there aren't any plans on doing action figures of the Beast Wars characters anytime soon, and the most recent action figure we got of Waspinator was in the Kingdom line back in 2021. But yeah, there is Wasp inside of his box. Without further delay, let's get him out and take a close look at him in his robot mode. Alright, and so here is Wasp out of his box, transformed into his robot mode and with his weapons attached. And yeah, like I said, he's just a green version of Transformers animated Bumblebee, but again, it is accurate to his appearance in the Transformers animated cartoon before Black Arachnia mutated him into Waspinator, and I really enjoy it. I was looking forward to getting his deluxe class action figure when the Transformers animated line was on the shelves back in 2008 and 2009, and I was disappointed when they announced that Wasp was going to be one of the action figures that was going to be cancelled and never see the light of day. So yeah, I'm really thrilled to finally have a proper action figure of animated Wasp in my Transformers collection. My camera is picking up the Decepticon symbol there on his chest, so he does have it just like the photos on his box and the box art, but unfortunately, for my eyeballs, in person, it's really hard to see the Decepticon logo on there. Even though it's purple paint on green plastic, it's a very thin layer of purple paint on there, and so it almost looks like he doesn't even have one. I don't know if the designers did that on purpose or not, because it's been a while since I've seen the Transformers animated cartoon, and so I don't know if Wasp actually joined the Decepticons in the Transformers animated cartoon. But within Transformers fiction, outside of Transformers animated, the idea of Wasp being a Decepticon who shares the same body design as Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, similar to the character of Bugbite, it's one that's been embraced wholeheartedly by Transformers fans of Wasp and Waspinator and the Transformers animated series overall. But yeah, I kind of just wish they would have made the Decepticon symbol more prominent. Like I said, I don't know if they did that on purpose to try and make the Decepticon symbol barely visible, to acknowledge the fact that because he was a fugitive Autobot, Wasp technically was a factionless Transformer when he was on the run on planet Earth before he met Black Arachnia. But yeah, overall I'm just really thrilled with how he came out. And again, apart from the paint job, the standing feature for Wasp is his new head sculpt. It is accurate to his appearance in the Transformers animated cartoon, where you can kind of see subtle similarities to what would become to him when he would become Waspinator. He's got this yellow V-shaped crest on his head, which would become Waspinator's antenna. The shape of his helmet, it's a mouth plate that it doesn't actually hide his mouth, but it's almost like a mouth guard that sits in front of his mouth, and that would become Waspinator's mandibles when he would be in his robot mode head when he would become Waspinator. So yes, I love the design that they did, where it almost looks like Waspinator, but it's not entirely him with the way his helmet is shaped. And yeah, I've always enjoyed that design of Wasp, of almost like a prototype version of Waspinator. And in the minds of many Transformers fans and collectors today, Wasp is what Waspinator for the Transformers Beast Wars cartoon show animated Wasp is an example of what the original Beast Wars version of Waspinator looked like when he was living on planet Cybertron and was a member of the Predacons. That he looks sort of similar to this. So a lot of fans and collectors have embraced the idea that Wasp is what the original Beast Wars version of Waspinator looked like before taking on a Wasp beast mode when the Predacons crash landed on prehistoric Earth, and that this is what he looked like when he was originally living on planet Cybertron. To my knowledge, I don't know if they've they did do a bunch of Hasbro did do a bunch of they released exclusively at BotCon in 2006 for the 10th anniversary of Transformers Beast Wars. A bunch of action figures that were repaints of the or it might have been 2007, but they basically repainted and retooled a bunch of the Transformers Cybertron action figures into the characters from Transformers Beast Wars, which were designed to be their original appearances on planet Cybertron before the events of the pilot episode of Transformers Beast Wars, where they time traveled back in time and crash landed on prehistoric Earth and took Earth beasts for alternate modes. I believe there was an action figure for Waspinator in that box set, but today Wasp has come to be the definitive Transformers Cybertron version of Waspinator before he became a Predacon who transformed into a organic Wasp and had a beast mode. And for a size comparison, here's the figure he's repainted and retooled from, which is Legacy. I can't remember if Animated Bumblebee was released in Legacy United or Legacy Evolution. But yeah, here he is next to his mold mate of Bumblebee. The parts are, apart from the head sculpt, everything is the exact same on both of them. Exact same tires, exact same kibble from alt mode and robot mode. Same wheel design, even the same AIM black stripes on here on them as well. And so yeah, the idea is that Waspinator is an evil doppelganger to Bumblebee from Transformers Animated, and I aided in. After, like I said, his original Transformers Animated Deluxe Class action figure, which also would have been a repaint of the Transformers Animated Deluxe Class Bumblebee figure. The original animated Fugitive Wasp action figure was cancelled. The only action figure we got was Waspinator in the animated line. So to finally have a Fugitive Wasp action figure released, even though it took 16 years, the wait was worth it, I personally believe. I apologize for not bringing out any action figures of Waspinator to do a size comparison here with Wasp. He is, as I said, the Legacy animated Bumblebee. It now, I believe, holds the title of being the all-time smallest Deluxe Class Transformers action figure that's ever been released. And so, if you have the original Transformers animated Deluxe Class Wasp action figure that was released back in 2008, or if you even have the Transformers Kingdom Deluxe Class Waspinator action figure, they still tower over Fugitive Wasp here. So, he is the appropriate size that, compared to any deluxe figure of Wasp that's been released by Hasbro, he is smaller than them. And the reason why I'm emphasizing the importance of that is because in the Transformers animated cartoon, Bumblebee was the physically smallest of the Autobots to appear in the animated cartoon show, and when Black Arachnia mutated Wasp into Waspinator, the size of his body grew to a much larger size, and so he kind of almost upgraded from a Deluxe Class figure to a Voyager Class figure in the Transformers animated cartoon show, even though his actual action figure that was released was Deluxe Class sized. They did technically have Legends Class figures in Transformers animated, but they also had a size class of Transformers that don't exist anymore, known as Activators and Haters. But the point I'm trying to make is that when Wasp was upgraded into Waspinator by Black Arachnia, the size of his body increased, and so having Fugitive Wasp this small compared to past Deluxe Class action figures of Waspinator, it is size accurate to the size increase that his body underwent when he was mutated by Black Arachnia, so I actually enjoy that. But yeah, for his paint distribution, he's primarily this grass. He's this primarily dark. I don't know if this is considered grass green or Ian or forest green. But the idea is that it's the same, supposed to be the same shade of green that Waspinator had in the original Beast Wars cartoon, even though Waspinator was more of a I think Wasp is supposed to be forest green is what this shade is known as, but again, I don't know the names of the different shades of green off the top of my head. And I probably should have saved this figure for this upcoming Tuesday, since this upcoming Tuesday is St. Patrick's Day, and he would have been a nice little green action figure to review for the greenest day of the year. But I wanted to get his review out of the way. But yeah, here is for Fugitive Wasp. I do love that's his primary paint job is this green shade here, and then his secondary paint job, which includes his face, and then his hands, his upper arms, and the joint, and his transformation joints, and his thighs. It's almost like this neon green, which is much closer to the primarily a green paint job that Waspinator had, and that the original Beast Wars Waspinator had in the Beast Wars cartoon. In terms of articulation, the head's on a ball joint, so it has the potential to spin left and right 360 degrees. On my copy, it's tight, just out of the box. The arms can rotate, not quite 360 degrees at the shoulder, but they have the potential to rotate at least 180 degrees. You got a swivel joint in the bicep right above the hinge joint on the elbow. No wrist articulation due to how the hands transform. You do have a waist, so he can spin at the waist 360 degrees clockwise and counterclockwise. Universal jointed hips. Legs can go forward this far. They can go backward this far. Alright, if you move his arms out of the way, his legs can go out that far, so he can't. So Wasp can do a full split, just like Bumblebee. Swivel joints in the thighs, hinge joints at the knees. The feet can't really move backward due to transformation. The feet can move slightly upward and down at the toes due to how the ankle joint is, and you do have a very slight ankle rocker, but the ankle rocker, it's you can see right there, it's not that much. So there is a decent amount of articulation for this action figure. Probably not as much as some Transformers fans and collectors would have wanted on this mold, but it is a decent amount considering how small they decided to make the figure. Because one of the reasons why the animated Bumblebee mold from Legacy is now the all-time smallest deluxe class Transformers action figure is because of something that a lot of fans and collectors complained about the original Transformers animated action figures back in 2008 and 2009 when they were released. In favor of screen accuracy and having the action figures look just like the Transformers characters' animation models from the Transformers animated TV series, the designers at Hasbro and Tomy ignored size accuracy, and the mainline deluxe class Bumblebee action figure, even though Bumblebee was one of the smallest characters in Transformers animated, he ended up getting one of the physically largest deluxe class Transformers action figures. And so the official, the quote-unquote official Transformers animated action figures were the Transformers animated characters, even though they were all different sizes, their action figures were almost the same size. Voyager class Bulkhead was shorter and smaller than the Voyager class animated Optimus Prime action figure was, and deluxe class Bumblebee actually was such a large deluxe figure, he stood the same height that animated Voyager class Bulkhead did. And in the Transformers animated cartoon, in the episode when Black Arachnia first arrives on Earth, Bumblebee jumps onto Bulkhead's hand, and Bumblebee was small enough that Bulkhead was able to perfectly hold onto him with just one of his hands, and so Bumblebee was roughly about the same size as just Bulkhead's lower arm. And so some Transformers fans and collectors who've been collecting non-stop since the 2000s, such as myself, you might hear them say that Transformers Animated was the first line of Transformers action figures in which fans and collectors complained to Hasbro and to Tomy about size accuracy also needing to be a priority in addition to screen accuracy. And so, after Transformers Animated, the designers at Hasbro and Tomy realized that even if they were to design action figures that were completely screen accurate, when fans and collectors put those action figures next to each other, and they saw that the sizes didn't match up with the character's appearance in the Transformers cartoon shows or comic books that they were reading, they were going to complain about the sizes being incorrect, and so that's why in more recent years, Transformers action figures have been different sizes, even if they're released in the exact same size class, which is why we now have a wide range of heights for deluxe class sized Transformers action figures. The only minor gripe I have so far with Wasp fresh out of the box is that his neck joint doesn't want to stay in place, and so his head keeps sliding backwards like this. It's supposed to be in this configuration. The neck joint on my copy of Legacy Animated Bumblebee is much tighter, and so his head is staying in the correct position. But this review's gone on much longer than I wanted it to because I wanted to share all that information with you guys, so that's pretty much all there is to say about Wasp and all the why he's so small, why these mold mates with animated Bumblebee, why the Legacy deluxe figure here is so small, all the history about him in the animated cartoon. So without further delay, let's get him transformed into his alt mode and wrap up the review. Alright, and so here is Wasp transformed into his alt mode, and with the Stinger rockets attached to him. Here's what he looks like without them. Pretty cool looking little green sports car. The exact same as Bumblebee, so he has the police siren there on the roof to show that he's unmarked or semi-unmarked undercover police unit right there. Although with the rocket stingers attached, he doesn't end up being much of a robot in disguise, but the original animated Bumblebee figure didn't. The only place to store the rockets was on the outside of the alt mode. So this is again accurate to what animated Wasp's or what Fugitive Wasp's original Transformers animated action figure would have looked like if Hasbro had decided to release it back in 2009. And again, for a size comparison, side by side, here he is with the figure he's repainted and retooled from Bumblebee. Again, exact same color layout, exact same paint with the racing stripe. And the police siren on here. I believe just like Bumblebee's siren, Wasp siren is actually made out of clear plastic, but it's been painted red. It's just been painted red to make it pop out more. But yeah, exact same racing stripe. I believe the exact same beige color is used on the headlights also for these guys. Same shade of silver on the tires. So yeah, Waspinator is basically Bumblebee's doppelganger. Just all the parts on Bumblebee that are yellow are now forest green here on Wasp. But yeah, really nice there. Air size comparison with the two of them, and yeah, I'm really thrilled that the only difference between the two figures is the robot mode head. And because again, that is accurate to Wasp's appearance in both the Transformers animated cartoon and what his canceled deluxe class action figure would have been back in the days of the Transformers animated line. So for the final proverbial question of the review, do I recommend getting the Transformers Age of the Primes deluxe class Fugitive Wasp and adding it to your Transformers collection? Absolutely, I do. Especially if you are a fan of the Transformers animated series, if you're a fan of Wasp, and also a fan of Waspinator, if you like the idea that Wasp is what Waspinator looked like on planet Cybertron before he took on a beast mode and became the Predacon cannon fodder that he's known for today, then this is a must-have deluxe class Transformers action figure for your Transformers collection. If you aren't necessarily a fan of Transformers animated, and you don't like the idea of Wasp being a first version of Waspinator, just like Orion Pax is the first stage version of Optimus Prime, then this figure can be an easy pass. But on that note, because even though his box, Hasbro had to hold on to the trademark name of Waspinator, so they called him Fugitive Waspinator. But if you want to treat Wasp as a separate character from Waspinator, since Waspinator's a Predacon and Wasp is a Decepticon, then as a standalone character, even if he's not a downgraded version of Waspinator and you want to treat him as a separate character, As a standalone character, despite being a green Decepticon repaint of the Transformers animated version of Bumblebee, he's still a fun little action figure to have, and so I honestly can't see any reason of passing on this guy, even if you do have the Legacy Animated Deluxe Class Bumblebee figure. I believe Wasp is, I don't know how many Decepticons from Transformers Animated have now gotten modern Chug-style action figures between the Legacy and Age of the Primes line. Another Decepticon from Transformers Animated who's gotten an updated figure is Lockdown, who is a retool of Legacy Evolution, a Scrap Hook from 2023. But yeah, I'm sorry, I can't think off the top of my head right now what other Decepticons from Transformers Animated have been given modern action figures apart from the Transformers Animated series, apart from Lockdown and Wasp. So if there are any more, or you can think of, please let me know down in the comment section. But yeah, I believe Wasp is one of only at least 2 Decepticons from Transformers Animated who I can think of off the top of my head who have gotten modern action figures, the other being Lockdown. Now, no. There's technically, I'm sorry, there's 3. We also got Motormaster and 4, Motormaster and Nemesis Prime. I forgot about them. They never appeared in the animated cartoon, and so I was going off Decepticon characters who appeared in the animated cartoon and were given animated action figures. So yeah, Waspinator is one of 4 animated Decepticons who's been given a Chug-style action figure, and I just really thrilled to finally have an action figure of him in my Transformers collection. So this has been the TFangy. This has been my review of Transformers Animated, of the Transformers Age of the Primes Animated Universe Deluxe Class Fugitive Wasp, a.k.a. Fugitive Waspinator. I highly recommend getting this figure, even if you already have the animated Bumblebee figure that he's repainted and retooled from. As I said, it took 16 years for Hasbro to finally release a an action figure of Fugitive Wasp for Transformers fans and collectors to get. That's why I highly recommend getting him. So until next time, you guys, this has been the TFangy. And remember, collecting is a lifelong hobby. As long as you enjoy it, please spend your life enjoying it and doing it. And until next time, you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone. Da-da-da-da-da-da.